Travis Wayne gets him. So, my video about basic Mormon doctrines, Mormon facts, basic facts of Joseph Smith's Mormonism. I couldn't get you guys to endure to the end, and so you never found out what on my other video about Joseph Smith and the name Nephi, nobody could last long enough to know the birth date of Nephi. This is a problem in our society where China is helping to exacerbate an ADDHCQYZWXYZ in the American people. It's a low attention span that Americans are getting bored. They don't want to listen. They don't want to read. They can't pay attention for longer than a TikTok video. This is an attack by China, and it's very effective, as I am witnessing. The whole concept of YouTube going to shorts, as they're calling them, is helping to perpetuate this low attention span of their own viewers. And so people who do long videos, like myself, are not getting people's attention. And so there's a Mormon who Brigham Young set a trap for you guys. Long before you were even born, he set a trap. The trap was on Joseph Smith. He was going to destroy Joseph Smith's church. It was his intention to lie about the name and about the religion. He called it Christian. He called the name of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so new converts were coming in mass because he and his Danites were converting a lot of people. And so Joseph Smith had to come out with the 1838 history. And Brigham Young altered it. Brigham Young forged documents, put them in as Joseph Smith's documents after he died. And it's the Jesus Christ that is your big clue that there's something wrong. Joseph Smith had the apostles, the ministering 12 apostle missionaries, keep an elder's journal. And Thomas B. Marsh was in charge of publishing it. And before, it was always the Church of Latter-day Saints, as the name was changed to in 1834. But in the Joseph Smith papers, we see that Brigham Young, when he took over in 1838, getting Thomas B. Marsh kicked out and excommunicated, that he started making the change in the name. And that's why Section 115 that Nelson spoke of over the pulpit of conference was used. Is because it's all right there in that time period. Brigham Young was purposely sabotaging the church. And so the trap, in its basic format, is 1, he lied. 2, he tricks Mormons into believing the lie, converts into believing the lie. And then 3, he tricks and threatens Mormons to not study so that Mormons will never know what the truth is. And so Mormons, as a result, to this day, are afraid to actually study their scriptures, to use science to do research on the scriptures. They use fallacy arguments instead, psychological manipulation instead. And Mormons, as a result, are weaponized to attack other people who criticize or ask questions or use science to study the scriptures. And so Mormons don't go to the Joseph Smith papers because the church is true. They were told, church is true. Don't go beyond because you'll apostatize and you'll be evil. You'll be a follower of Lucifer. And then the church only gives you what they want you to know in the manuals. So you do the minimal, you participate in church, and Mormons think we're safe. Nobody dares to molest or make us afraid. I won't lose my testimony of the truth. You never had one. That's the trap. You got punked. And so Mormons, as a result, are not emulating the prophets. You might go to their home, you might see idols all over the walls and counters and such as outward symbols that they are righteous. You're an idol worshiper. That's what you're revealing. But we have a Mormon who made a hateful, threatening comment to me. Mr. Random Z11. He clearly does not emulate the prophets. He draws near to the church with his lips, but his heart is far from it. His heart is very clear. He's all about gang looking. That's a common thing because people want to be inconspicuous and they don't want to be approached by a gang member to be a part of a gang. And so they dress like a gang member to show that they're hip and cool among their peers. And that's what he's doing. He's wearing a basketball jersey, and so he's exposing that he's not wearing magic underwear. And he's got the devil's goatee and the gangster basketball cap, or baseball cap technically. Basketball doesn't have baseball caps, but I'm sure it's part of the merchandise. And so his YouTube channel, LDS, and yet I guess it's LDS. It's got a Mormon Stories podcast appearance. They must be copying each other. But the first one that he has up there is secularism in the church. And he's got 2,708 videos in that playlist. The next one is favorites. And a guy in a suit and tie, bald hair, glasses. Could be a conference talk, or it could be a basketball trading thing that they have every year. And then he has cooking with marijuana brownies. And then B-ball with Michael Jordan. And then photography. So, yeah, and then he's got subscriptions listed. He's got PlayStation. You can clearly see where his priorities are. He doesn't have the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' YouTube channel. Not even the Church News YouTube channel. He has apologists. That's what LDS is. And the favorites, so it's probably just the stuff he likes. So it could be a mixture of all sorts of stuff. But that's it. His knowledge of Mormonism is based on apologists who use fallacy arguments. They never tell the truth. They don't know how to debate. They can't debate. It's an automatic loss with the church. How do I know this? How am I lying? You're not listening to me, so what does it matter if I tell you the secret? Book of Mormon, 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 2. Game, set, match. But Mr. Random Z because he's listening to Mormon apologists, could not recognize the basic facts of Joseph Smith's Mormonism. He's too far gone. And so he's being abusive. He says, you lost the Holy Ghost. He's making a false accusation. It's a hasty judgment on a small sampling of one video for probably at most a few minutes. You have no rights, really, to speak concerning things of spiritual nature according to the laws of heaven. So, one, he has to categorize me, which is a psychological abusive tactic, by saying I've lost the Holy Ghost. So, therefore, I'm not speaking of the Holy Ghost, and therefore I have no rights to speak of spiritual nature according to the laws of heaven. Two, he's anti-science. He's speaking of things that are not real, claiming they're real. That's a Christian tactic. Three, he's name-calling me that I've lost the Spirit so that he can deny me my rights to freedom of speech. And what was my freedom of speech? Here's Joseph Smith's basic facts of Mormonism. He is denying Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon. And then 5, he is clueless about Mormon doctrine. He's not even quoting from the Book of Mormon, let alone demonstrating he has a knowledge of the subject matter. He's just making it up off the top of his... And so here he is with another false doctrine. As soon as a individual leaves the church, they ridicule the prophets. I thought it was they begin to ridicule the prophets, and that leads them to apostasy to leave the church. or get excommunicated. Which is it? See? He himself is projecting here. This is why he's a dumbass. He won't leave the church because he won't study the church to find out the truth, that they're lying to you. He's been tricked and threatened by the church not to study and not learn of the lies. Because as he says, he won't leave the church because he's been told that criticizing the prophets, he's an apostate therefore. And so he won't criticize the prophets because he's afraid he's going to have to leave the church. Oh no, I criticize the prophets, I gotta leave. Oh, I gotta kill myself. See, he's too young to know about that. In the temple, there used to be the penalty oath. And so the older generation of Mormons give me that death threat. But this newer generation of Mormons are clueless about this. He doesn't understand where this threat that the church gave him comes from. The church told him not to study. The church told him to just have faith, trust in the Spirit, deny science, don't produce the works to know if the faith is correct or not. And so here's the death threat. The Lord is removing, cutting out the tares that choke. He doesn't even get that right. Mormons are stupid. This is what you become. You become a part of the gang. And it's all about the gang. You don't leave the gang, you support the gang, and you protect them from criminal prosecution. Any crimes that the church does, you have to protect. And here he is saying that I need to be removed and cut out. He already told me I left the church. So why do I need to be removed and cut out after I've already left the church? He's threatening my life. But I could not report him on YouTube because I can't trust YouTube. It's sad. It's really sad. Mormons cannot handle truth. I mean, I gave you an exclusive bombshell about the Book of Mormon. And yeah, I had to encode it as Nephi's birth date. But not a single person, according to the analytics, could endure to the end where I talk about it. And here, with basic Mormonism, we have Mormons who don't believe, who are anti-Semitic towards their own founder. And I tell you this in videos and you don't believe me, and here again, another evidence. Mormons are beyond feeling. They are beyond hope. And that's why I don't want to be doing videos anymore. I want to get to Zion. And we may not go, because Mormons are just that wicked. And so I might have to just stay here and hope I survive.